Flosstube, it's Diane. Today is June 10th, I think. Hold on. Yes, June 10th, 2021. Been kind of doing a bunch of things today. What else is new? But I will talk about stitching. I have some progress, what I'm going to bring to StitchCon. I have a wee bit of haul and some quilting stuff. Quilt behind me was actually stitched, sewn together, cut, sewn, etc. by my middle daughter when she was 10. If you can see, it's not quilted yet, and she is 18 now, so I probably shouldn't. You know, the years in between, I've been a little busy, but I do want to get it quilted. I might do it on my own machine though. Currently working on a scrap quilt that I thought I would try to do the quilting on my machine, and then if I screwed it up, oh well, it's a scrap quilt. But that's what's behind me. You don't need to see my messy bookshelf, and this is just my sewing cupboard. So, why do I have this one? I don't need that one. The project bag's right there. So, where do we start? I have no FFOs, except I will show you the back of my gift that I'm taking to StitchCon to give to my friend. I'll also do a little video and show it after I get back, and I know she's received it and etc. I am looking so forward to StitchCon. It'll be so much fun. If you've never gone to StitchCon before, all the icebreakers have been taken care of. Meaning, we all know we all like stitching. So sit down, start talking stitching with someone, and there will be nothing. There's nothing to be afraid of. And I say this as a very introverted person who in 2016 went to my first cross-stitching retreat, and I knew nobody. And then I sat down at a table and we started talking and joking, and I still message those ladies just about every day, multiple times. And we are going to be at StitchCon as a group for the first time in 5 years. So I look forward to that. What have I been stitching on? I did forget to grab my board. Hold on. Sorry, I meant to grab it. My husband and I had a chance to get away this last weekend, just to Wisconsin, but didn't anticipate the first weekend in June in Minnesota, Wisconsin to be 90+ degrees. But we were right on the river, and the breeze off the river, it kept it somewhat comfortable. I mean, it's still warm, no doubt about that. But it was so nice just to get away and kind of that mental break. And just the two of us. And I told my husband we need to do stuff like that more often for ourselves. So I don't know how often that'll happen, but it was really a lot of fun. And we stayed in Hudson, Wisconsin. And we stayed at the Phipps Inn Bed and Breakfast. Yes, I would recommend it. Marianne and Rich are Rick. I think it's Rick. Very, very nice people. So, Phipps Inn, P-H-I-P. I'll link them below too. The first piece I'm going to show you is my Rose Garden Mandala, which was from the Gift of Stitching magazine, September 2009. On my WhipGo board, which month was it? April. This was drawn, and I had the center done, but there are 4 gates, and I wanted those done, and they are done. So I do not have a cover photo of this from the magazine, but I will link from the Chatelaine website, because you can buy this pattern if you want this pattern. So there's a fence that goes all the way around, so it's not a huge chatelaine, and there's like a little pond in each corner. But yeah, I had this gate, I think this one done last time I showed it. Now I have all 4 done, except for the bling. I have not put any bling on. There are DMCs, silks, and metallics in the center portion. In the gates is just DMC and 1 metallic, or 2 metallics, excuse me. So I am using, this is 32 count antique white Jobelin. because I wanted the bling to fit. And I am doing whatever the directions say. These are stitched 2 over 2. The metallic, it just says it comes off the card, 1 over 2. And the back stitching is wherever the back stitching needs to be. So I'm just following the directions, and it's turning out nice. It's my first shadowing, and it's turning out nice. I'm using the called for colors, and I have that whipco number done. So whipco for May, I had my white dragon piece, and I've permanently scrapped that. I don't like the fabric, and so many of us have said, you know, stitch what you love. And so that's what I plan on doing, and that piece I just don't love. And I'm like, why? I have so many other things I want to stitch. Why am I taking my time stitching this when I don't like it? Okay, I haven't stitched on that one, have I? No, not since last time, but I have stitched in this one. So what I decided to do, because I couldn't just mark those numbers off, is substitute other things. And one of the numbers for May, I used the retreat piece we had started, stitched, and fully finished in the month of May. And it was a hands-on design piece that will eventually be available. I showed it in my last video. It will eventually be available to everybody. The other number, I chose a new start because I needed a new start. I wanted a new start, I should say. I don't know if need was involved. I wanted a new start and to stitch on it for 5 days. For me, a day of stitching is 2 hours. So 10 hours. And so I looked and looked and what I had kitted, and this is what I chose. Seeking Refuge by Scarlett House. I didn't have one of the colors because Stitchville was out, but I had a chance to go to Stitchville Monday, and they actually had that color. So now I have all the called for colors. And I have 2 more days of stitching on this. Yeah. And here's where I'm at. So I'm working on the house. I know some people like to do the mortar and then fill in with the bricks. I'm the opposite. I like to do the bricks and then fill in with the mortar. I don't know. And I like to do the windows, the frames of the windows, and then fill them in. This is 40 count flax. I'm using the called for colors 1 strand over 2 threads. And this, the black piece you see right here, that's the door. So yeah, it's a pretty sizable house. And again, I have 2 more days of stitching on this, and then that whipco number will be done. So that's what I'm going to stitch on tonight. So put that guy aside. Then the June numbers were called, and for June, Ann Morison, I need to do 2 parts. That stitch along, someone went through and kind of said if you do this little puzzle piece, 1 puzzle piece a month, you'd have it done in a year. And so for my whipco, I need to do 2 of those pieces. And I haven't done any more since I showed it last. So the other number was a new start, 7 days, 14 hours. So I chose Land That I Love by Teresa, Kogut. Using all the called for colors, 1 strand over 2. Is there any back stitching in this? If there's back stitching, I think it's just 1 over whatever. But I don't think there's back stitching in this one. And I don't think this one has 1 over 1. At least on a quick glance. So, this is 40 count Cream and Sugar by Fiber on a Whim. I will be ordering and stitching on more Fiber on a Whim fabrics because they are nice to stitch on. This was a new colorway at Expo, and I ordered it through my LNS at Stitchville. I reminded myself on this, why do not stitch borders first? So here's where I'm at. I had this border, there are 4 bumps on a side, 4 of these curves. I was all the way around the corner and something wasn't right. I started filling in the flowers and I'm like, why is this not lining up? I made a counting error all the way back here. And I looked at it and looked at it and looked at it, and yes, it would affect the entire sampler. So I spent several hours unstitching. I knew it. I'm like, Diane, don't do it. Don't do it. But I was just having so much fun stitching this border. And I thought, oh, I'll be fine. I'll be fine. Nope. Thankfully, this brownish color is DMC, as is this reddish color. I had a little bit of the blue that's an overdyed, so it wasn't too bad. But I had like 1 flower here and 1 flower here stitched or almost stitched. And then I just had the vine. And the bed and breakfast that we stayed in the master suite. And they have a little, you have to climb through a window, but they have a little sun porch there. And in the mornings, it was really nice to sit out there and just, this is a thread, by the way, just sit out there and enjoy the sun. And the first day, there was a nice breeze coming off the water. And just stitch. And my husband read a book. So this has 7 days worth, and I did not include the time I was unstitching, but I am loving this one. And this one is going with me to StitchCon because I really want to finish that one to get back to this one. And so I've totally fallen in love with this project. So this one will be going with me to StitchCon. I'm at StitchCon B, because StitchCon A is currently happening. And I haven't been following the group on Facebook to see anything. I haven't had time, to be honest. Excuse my reach. So I have that one. That's going with me to StitchCon. This one is also going with me to StitchCon to kit up. I have 5 or 6 of the colors. So that is my plan, to kit this one up while I'm at StitchCon. I'm not starting it while at StitchCon though. I have a different piece picked out for that. So I'm going to put that over there. Seeking Refuge is not going with me to StitchCon. And Morison is going with me to StitchCon. So I'll just show you where I'm at on this. And Morison, they're out of the pattern. It's their traditional stitches. But they have some other stitch-alongs coming up, so you might want to check out their webpage and sign up for their newsletter, and you'll find out that information. I'm looking really, really closely at the Eliza one, and then apparently there's supposed to be another Hands Across the Sea one with traditional stitches later this fall. I haven't heard all the details. They haven't announced all the details. Their shop has been dealing with some COVID, and so it's affected things, and I think there's a supply issue on something. But watch their YouTube videos and get their newsletter, and you'll find the information out. So this is where I'm at. This is 40 Count Havana by Weeks Dye Works, and I'm using the AVAS 100-3 or .3. I've heard it both ways. 103. They're the ones that come on these spools here. You just use it 1 strand right as it comes off the spool on 40 count. I don't know if you use 2 strands if it wasn't. I don't know. But I'm using 40 count Havana, and I need to finish this eyelet alphabet, and then you get into the birds and stuff. So I need to do 2 parts of this to fulfill Whipco. Technically, I've already done it, and I could mark it off, but I'm not going to. I'm going to make myself do 2 sections. Well, it won't be this month, because we're already on the 10th. Maybe it could be this month. I don't know. Those eyelet letters take a lot of thread and more concentration and time. So I think what I'm going to do is just work on, if I stitch on Anne at StitchCon, I'm just going to go down the borders because they're just a straight single stitch. So those are 2 pieces I'm bringing. Land That I Love and Morison. Cardinal points is going to be kitted. And then a piece that I picked up at Stitchville on Monday that I picked up the pattern. I'd been thinking about this pattern for a while and chose to get it. And I kitted it up. The fabric must be... Oh, there's the fabric. Okay. So, Monday I picked up Grace on Thee. Somebody had showed this. I know this was a retreat piece or a club piece. And when I saw it, oh, yeah, this one. So I had to pick that one up. And then I had ordered this one, Always Remember, Plum Street. I love that there's 3 eagles. And of course this one by Liz Matthews because, yes. Am I going to do it in the Gloriana? Oh, I'd love to. There's 3, 6, 9, 13 Glorianas. I love stitching with Gloriana. I don't know. She showed it in Gloriana. I might choose a few colors in Gloriana. But, yeah. Beautiful. So I picked up that, and then I picked this one up, Sweet Land of Liberty by Blackbird Designs. I know it's been out for a while. And I've thought about it. There are 5 pieces in this. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. Is that the same one? Oh, and then the piece that I am going to start at StitchCon, and it's called this one Liberty Rose. So you have 2 linens, 2 different pieces of linen. You stitch the bird on one, and you stitch the initials and the rose on the other, and you use the same colors between both parts. And then you sew the linen together. Well, I just sewed the linen together on this guy from Kathy Haberman that I showed last video. And this guy that I showed last video has 2 different linens. And so I chose R&R Park City Blend 40 count and R&R Vintage Beeswax 40 count. And I think I'm going to stitch, so this is the beeswax, and I believe I'm stitching the rose on this one, and this one is the this is the beeswax, excuse me, and this one's the Park City Blend. Rose, bird, I think. I might switch. They're pretty close in size, the pieces are, and these are. I mean, it'll be a little close on one side, but not too bad. It says, oh, that's on 32 count though. 5 1/4 by 6 inches, but this is 40 count, so it does change. I am starting this one at StitchCon. It only calls for 3 colors. They're all Weeks Dye Works. They're graphite, oak, and pink sand. So this guy is going to be started at StitchCon. How far will I get? I don't know. Let's just say at a retreat, you stitch about 20% of what you think you're going to stitch, if that. So that is my stitching. Another piece of haul. Somebody sent me some StitchCon Survival Chocolate is what she called it. Because in my video I said my favorite is dark chocolate raspberry. She found this and she thought of me and she sent it to me, which I thought was so sweet. Literally. And it was good. Or it's going to be good. When I get around to indulging myself. So on my daughter's quilt, I have all the blocks assembled, foundation paper pieced, but I have to fully assemble the blocks. So you stitch all the fabric to the paper and then you put them together. And then next time you guys see it, it will be pieced. It probably won't be long-armed. That one's getting long-armed. But it will be up here so you guys can see it in its glory. I cut the, so you have the hexagons and then there's the, it looks like diamonds, but really it's triangles. 2 triangles put together so you fill that space between the hexes. I cut all those today, and I cut the first batch wrong, so thankfully I bought extra fabric. So for Mother's Day, my husband asked me what I wanted, and I told him that, well, I gave him a list of ideas, and this is what he ordered for me. Log Cabin Americana. The fabric line that is used in this particular kit is by Liberty Lane, and this kit was available through shabbyfabrics.com. It's no longer available. The pattern might be. So the pattern is by Franklin Quilt Company, and if I can find it, I'll link it. But they chose this fabric line to make this quilt, and I saw it and I'm like, yes, it's a log cabin, but how they have set it and all that. And there's a star block in the center, I think, of all of them. Yeah. So I've been drooling over these fabrics and petting them and tempted to cut them to get them ready to sew, but I have to get my daughter's quilt done and continue on my scrap quilt. The scrap quilt is kind of a palette cleanser. You know, sometimes when you have a big stitching piece, sometimes you need just a little easier piece or smaller piece just to kind of keep the cobwebs and keep the motivation. That's what my scrap quilt is. Because I did cut all the fabrics for another quilt that I want to get sewn this month. This month for me, I'm really focused, well, I have household projects, but I'm focused on sewing and quilting, and hopefully I'll get some of these projects done. Then after my daughter's quilt, I haven't decided if I'm going to tackle child number 8's quilt, because this was sewn by child number 7. The quilt I've been showing is for child number 7. Then I have to do child number 8, and this is the one he chose. Fractured Star. It's it says Timeless Treasures, but it's from Quiltworks. Timeless Treasures, I think, is the fabric they used in it, because her maybe it was distributed by Timeless Treasures, but Quiltworks is Judy Nehemiah's website. It's foundation paper pieced, and here are some of the fabrics that I'll be using. To use some strips and some light ones, which we stopped at a quilt shop on our way home that I had never been to before in Roberts, Wisconsin. It's called Top Stitchery. A very nice little shop, very nice people. And I picked up some fabric. So I picked up these fabrics. I love the little birds. The little bird, where did he hide? He's right here. And it's on both, and I really liked it. So, project bag, and this one says, be wild and free as the sea, seas, as in S-E-A-S, the day. There's magic under the sea. Okay, the magic is kind of faded. I love deep. I think that's all that it says. But these two are going to go into some project bags. And these with this guy as an accent. So I picked up those, so I have project bags to make too, because I like going to different quilt shops and getting some fabric and making project bags. It's a great way to remember a trip. And somebody in the StitchCon group did mention that there are a couple quilt shops, and since I might go to a couple quilt shops while I'm there. And I picked up this pattern, Geese in the Lilies. I see. Debbie Maddie, M-A-D-D-Y, is the designer. And this is the queen size, this is the lap size, this is the twin size, and this is the king size. I am going to make this one for my husband's in my bed. So now I got to figure out colors, because I don't want white. I don't want white, but I want a light background. And then I like the blues and the golds. So we'll see what I find. And the lap, twin, and queen, you can use a layer cake. The king size, no. Use half-yard cuts. Plus some other colors. So yeah, so I'm going to make this one for my husband's in my bed. I've debated about it, and I'm like, you know, that one, that's the one. I've also pulled out this book, Log Cabin Quilts by Judah Martin. I did, on the back here, no. I did the Minnesota quilt right here. I made that for my husband. I've shown that in past videos. But I have some fat quarter packs, and so I was looking at maybe doing some wall quilts with these. These are all the ones that are shown. A lot of them can be wall quilts. Is that one shown in there? Yes, that one's shown in there. But they also have other sizes. And the one I made for my husband, the Minnesota one, is a throw size. Does he use it? I'm like, I made the quilt for you. Yeah, I didn't make I made the wall quilt, because the wall quilt is 60 by 60. That goes on a lap really nicely. So, does he use it? He doesn't use it. Silly person. So, additional sizes. Interesting. So I pulled this out, and so you'll probably see some more quilts out of this book. To my knowledge, this book is still in print. And this scrap quilt is from Scrap Therapy by Joan Ford. I think it's Scrap Therapy, or Cut the Scraps. I have both of her books. And so that's what I have going on. Next week is StitchCon. And if you see me there, don't be afraid to say hi. Somebody was talking about people recognizing them. Oh, I think it was the two ladies from New Zealand. I'm blanking on their names right now. I'll link their channel below. Neat and Not by the Sea, or something along that line. I'll link their channel below. How somebody recognized them in a shop. I get that way too. And sometimes because you're thinking, oh, I gotta do this, you know, I have to fill my water bottle, or, you know, go stitch, or find this, or use the restroom, or whatever, and somebody says, oh, hi, and you have to switch gears. So please give us, we're all amateurs at this Flosstube thing, so give us the benefit of the doubt that we're glad to meet you, we're glad to say hi. It's just, sometimes you have to switch gears, and I don't switch gears as fast as I used to. So yeah, I did my laundry today, and I'm starting to pack stuff away. I've picked out my projects, getting my wish list, and the last retreat I was at in Cincinnati was the Mirabelle Minion retreat, and I have a Minion bank, and I've been throwing spare change in there for the last 5 years, so I have to break him open to get my spending money out. I'm not going to literally break him, because I like him. And yeah, that's all I have today. But I've been showing pictures of my husband's desk that we are making for him. It's an 11-foot wide desk. And I will continue doing pictures on Instagram, which is just mondotstitches. So yeah, I didn't have my rings on because I was spray painting today, and I'm like, I'm not getting that goop all over my rings. And I wore my sandals though, and you can see it looks like I have a suntan, but it's black spray paint, so it doesn't look flattering by any means, but oh well, who cares. But yeah, that's all that's going on here. And I will say though, next month in July is my 50th birthday, and I'm going to do something. I don't know what yet. And when I figure that out, I'll let you guys know. And if you want to join me, join me if I'm doing an event or if I'm doing a giveaway or what have you. I haven't quite decided yet. But yeah, it'll be my 50th birthday. And I've already warned my children and my husband at no surprise parties. I don't like that. No. And my husband knows because my husband's 50th birthday is in December. Because yes, he's a little younger than me. And should he not listen to me, I have 4.5 months to plan. Yes. I can be Minnesota nice and I can be Minnesota ice. So yeah. Anyway, that's all I have for today. I will talk to you guys later. I'll link some Flosstubers below. I'll put everything that I can in the box below. So just give me a couple days, and if I forget something, gently remind me. But feel free to like this video, comment. I love your comments. I really, really do. They just make my day. And I will talk to you guys later. Love to y'all. Bye.